Hello, I hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be, instead of looking at the usual one action figure in a video, we're going to be taking a look at and comparing three. So in front of us we have a SOTA Toys Street Fighter, a Jada Toys, and a Storm Arena Street Fighter. I've taken a look at least one figure from each of these lines already on the channel, so I thought it would be fun to go ahead and put all three into one video. And obviously these two are Ken here, and this is Adon. I have the SOTA Toys Ken right here. The reason I have Adon out here is because we're going to take a look at their packaging first, and I bought this Ken loose, so I did not have his box. So going ahead and looking at the SOTA Toys box, we've looked at boxes from all three of these before, and they're all pretty much the same figure to figure. So here we've got, again, the just completely wrapped in plastic. We got a big open window on all sides, so you can see the figure and all of his accessories displayed on the inside. Again, here has a green background. This is a figure from round 3 or wave 3. Ken, I think I called him Yen, I mean Adon. Ken came from round 2, so his background was blue, but everything else was all the same pretty much. We had Ryu at the top up there. We would have character art of Ken down here and a list of his specials, and then the rest of the wave on the back. So going on to Jada, I think we're all familiar with the arcade cabinet look here. Very boxy, it's nice, it's compact. It has a big window so that you can see everything that the figure comes with. Have the player select character art down here, and some little buttons and joysticks. Some art on the side, a little bit of information about Ken there. A picture of the figure on the back, just one picture. The rest of the characters. Some more art. And then we have the Storm Arena, which this is like a perfect square pretty much. No like jutting out here. This is just perfect flat. And it's got kind of a smaller window, but big enough. You can see some of the accessories on the inside. We have this character art here that does take up a good sized portion of the box, and it is a little bit less colorful, a little bit more dark, which I guess the Jada's is as well. And then art on the side, Ken. On the back, this is probably my favorite of the packaging on the back. We have just the figure and some various poses and some more character art on the back. So I would say all three of them do their packaging well. If you're gonna display in-box, I might say that Storm Arena might be the worst, just because, especially if you're not going to open it, you have plastic on the inside that protects the figure, which is nice, but I mean, it kind of obscures what you're looking at, and the box, I don't feel like draws you in as much as one of these two. Of course, the problem with a box like Adon's here is that once you open it, you can't put the figure back in, or at least the box is going to be permanently damaged. So my favorite personally is probably the Jada. I think it has the most going on. You have the best view of the figure. You can never open it and just look at the figure inside, or you can open it and put the figure back in. So those are just some things to think about in regards to the box. Now we're going to take them all out and look at what they come with. All right, and here we have all three figures out of the box with their accessories. I have these two Kens in their trays because they had their box. Before we take a look at their accessories, I'm going to go ahead and look at their little backdrops here that I normally take a look at. Oop. Sorry, Ken. Here, this is, I guess, Ken's stage from Street Fighter 2 with the yacht here. So you can set Ken inside of that if you wanted to. And then here we've got this backdrop here for the Alpha figure. And I guess this is like a hotel with a pool or something. I'm more familiar with the yacht backdrop for that one that I guess is from Alpha 2. This would be a stage from Alpha 3. So those are nice little inclusions. I like having those. for the sake of other people. I don't personally use them, but those are nice to have if you want them. Looking now at the accessories with each figure, starting with the SOTA Toys Ken here. In his box, Ken would have come with this alternate head sculpt. This is one of my favorite things about this guy, is that if you see in the back here, he has the shorter hair, and then his alternate head sculpt comes with the longer hair that we see in Street Fighter Alpha, like that Ken over there has. So we can see it's okay. I like the idea behind it. The execution isn't the best, but I mean, all the details are there. The eyes are well painted, and so are the teeth. Everything's clean. The hair is well sculpted. We have his little red bow in the back. So it's definitely an option if you want to use that. As far as hands go, we have one of these Khmer hands, I guess is what you would call it, with his little finger out. The gloves completely wrap around the hands, and those are painted actually, because these are reuse of the SOTA reuse hands, which just have the little pad on the back like we know with the little strap, but it's well detailed. We can see some little stitching actually in that little strap there, and then wrinkling in the fingers and the fingernails. So SOTA definitely didn't hold out on detail sculpting. Last, we have a thumbs up hand here, again with the glove, and again some good detail there. So that's not all that Ken came with. He also came with an effect part. He came with the Shoryuken effect. I'll put a picture of it so that you all know what that looks like. So I definitely like SOTA's array of accessories. Taking a look now at Jada Ken, we'll pop his alternate head out here. We have an alternate teeth gritting face, and that's kind of the same, like he has the smile on his regular head and then a teeth gritted face. SOTA Ken, his alpha face was teeth gritted as well. So we can see this is like his battle face. Everything is well done here. Hair is well sculpted. I think he has a little bit of orange shading in his hair. I don't know how obvious that is on camera. And everything is clean as far as paint goes. Jada Ken probably has my least favorite heads, not because the figure did them poorly. If you look at the artwork, it matches the artwork very nicely. It's just not the look that I really like. But that's what they were trying to capture, so good for them. Here we have an alternate hand. This is a Hadouken hand. We have a second one in the box, and it is painted cleanly. We have some texturing on the glove here. Not really as detailed in the sculpt as SOTA's are, but that's kind of what they're going for. They're kind of going for a more cartoonish look, so that's fine. Ken also comes with, as I mentioned, the Hadouken hands. He comes with the effect part itself, and this is made of kind of a soft plastic, almost kind of rubbery like. I think it looks good. It kind of has orange in the back and kind of a yellower flame in the front. We can see the hands are that are sculpted on the inside of it, which is really nice effect. If you're looking at it from the front, it's pretty obvious. I don't know so much about the sides, but that is nice. So I do like that they included that. Well, not really. I think that it is a well enough done effect part, but I do think that Ken is better suited to have a Shoryuken effect, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. Ken also has this little peg up here and this base to hold up the effect part if you're wanting to use the Hadouken. So moving on to Storm Arena. as his accessories all fall out of the box here. Taking a look at the alternate head, as we've been doing first. I'm not sure. I'm not so sure that the grinning face is like a different enough look to have been included. I think so. He'll have just kind of a plain smirking face, and then he'll have this grinning face. I think this should have been the base head, and he should have come with an angrier head. I don't feel like there's enough of a difference. I feel like these two can be used out interchangeably. But as far as the head goes, it does look really nice. Everything's clean. The hair is well sculpted. I don't actually think there's any shading or shaded detail in it, really, like Jada, which is kind of surprising. But this probably has my favorite face sculpt of all of the Kens, personally. I think it captures the character. I don't think it looks very goofy. The other ones kind of do. So this is my favorite. Looking at the back, we can also see he has the red tie in the back. Something I did not know, actually, until I got both of these heads out, is the difference in the way the bow is tied. We can see the SOTA has a more, like an actual bow, where this is kind of just like a knot, like a belt. So that is a difference to note. This is preferable, obviously, because it's a lot better detailed. You can see all that sculpting in there. Looks nice versus these two strings. As far as accuracy goes, I'm not actually sure what would be more accurate. I think this hair, the way it's tied, this is how it looked in the Street Fighter 2 animated movie. This might be how it looked in the games, the alpha games. So I'm not actually sure about the distinction there, but I think it's worth noting. Storm Arena Ken comes with the most hands. Ken also comes with a Hadouken hand. And these don't actually look that great. I think I expressed this with Dan when I did my video on him, how he's got kind of like a fat palm that doesn't look that great. The detail is pretty soft on the sculpt, but no like nails or anything like that in it. There's a little bit of finger wrinkling, and there's not any, well, there is a little bit of texturing on the gloves as well, but it's not as prominent as it is on the Jada. Ken also comes with a peace sign hand. That looks pretty nice. All of these hands are made with a softer plastic that makes them easy to change out. There is some subtle finger wrinkles and fingernails on there, but that looks nice. I'm happy with that. And then last, well, not last, Ken comes with his Khmer hand, just like the SOTA one. And that is all well detailed, all consistent sculpt-wise, and painted cleanly. So that's a nice array of hands there. And lastly, we'll talk, well, again, not lastly, we'll talk about the Shoryuken effect that Storm Arena Ken comes with here. I think that Ken should have a Shoryuken effect instead of a Hadouken. I think that Storm Arena did it well. They included the Hadouken hands, but they did not give him a Hadouken. They gave him the Shoryuken, and I think that is a good thing. I think of the Shoryuken as Ken's signature move, where the Hadouken may be reused. So I like that they set him apart from Ryu, and they give him more effect parts that the figures can use interchangeably, like Ryu and Ken could use either the Hadouken or the Shoryuken. I think it just gives us more variety versus what Jada did. So I like having this over a Hadouken effect. I guess that Jada might have included the Hadouken so they could do like a double Hadouken, Ryu and Ken could. But anyways, and lastly we have the stand. I'm not going to get the stand out. If you want to take a look at how the stand works, I talk about it in my Charlie Nash review. And actually, calling back to that review, I was right. So I said that Charlie only came with this black wire clamp piece, and I thought they came with the clear one too. Ken has the clear clamp. So I think Ryu and Ken, they had the clear clamps for their stands, but then I guess for cost-saving reasons, they decided to stop doing those for the following figures. So now that we've taken a look at all of the accessories, we're going to get the figures out of their trays and take a look at them more closely. Before we look too closely at the Kens, we're going to go ahead and get height measurement for each of them. SOTA stands right at about 6 inches. Jada stands just a little shy, and Storm is just a little bit shy of 6 inches. So SOTA is the tallest, and then probably Jada, and then the Storm Arena. All right, before we take a look at the Kens more closely, we're going to go ahead and get some other figures in for a height comparison. Here we have got 2 Ryus. Here we have the SOTA Toys Round 1 Ryu that goes with this Ken, and the Jada Toys Ryu that goes with this Ken. I figured I would put this Ryu over here because he shares a body mold with this Ken. So it'd be more helpful to probably see how this guy scales with this guy, or these two, and then this guy with this guy. I think that height-wise, these are all gonna work fine. I personally don't like to cross lines, really. At least not with SOTA and the more modern figures. I have had Jada Ryu and Storm Ken in the same Marvel vs. Capcom display at before I moved, and I think that it worked out just well enough. I think that they fit fine enough together that you could mix those two. But yeah, I don't like to cross SOTA with other lines. So next, we're going to look at how Ken scales with 2 different Bisons here. We have the SOTA Toys M Bison and the Jada Toys M Bison, and I've expressed already in other videos that I prefer this guy's height and his build. I think that this would be more appropriate scaling than this guy, who is a bit smaller. But this Bison does still stand taller than all of the other Kens. But obviously this guy stands the tallest. So I like that. I think that if there was a figure of Bison that I would, let me start over. If I would mix a SOTA figure into another display, it would probably be this M Bison into another display. We're taking a look at one figure this time. We're going to be looking at the Jada Toys Akuma. And this guy definitely, he's a bit taller, he's a bit beefier than the Jada Toys Akuma, which I think is appropriate, or Ken, I'm sorry, which I think is appropriate. But it's not too distinct of a difference. Here he is next to Storm Arena Ken. And then we'll go ahead and switch SOTA Ken over here. Hello. So yeah, Akuma stands taller than all of the other Kens. It's not too much of a difference, but you have that comparison there. I took the wrong figure out. Here we have Chun-Li standing between the other Kens of the other lines. I think that she will mix in well enough. And then here she is next to the Jada Ken, which is the appropriate Ken for this Chun-Li. So we have that. Taking a look at some Storm Arena, here we have Charlie Nash up against the 2 Kens here, and he stands a bit taller than both of them. Actually, he might be right at the same height as this guy, but he does stand taller than Jada Ken, and he stands taller than Storm Arena Ken. So I think the trend is that this guy, scale-wise, is probably going to fit the least with the other lines. Here we have the X-Men 97 Cyclops. In case you want to do Marvel vs. Capcom, this would be the appropriate Ken to put with this guy, because this is how Ken appears in Marvel vs. Capcom. And then we have SOTA Ken here, because you can change out the heads and make this a Marvel vs. Capcom Ken. Cyclops is standing taller than Ken by a good bit. I think that will work just fine. Here's Cyclops next to the Jada Ken as well. Here we also have Captain America from Hasbro's Game Reverse. We can see he stands a bit taller. I think that works. So you can fudge this guy in. That's the height there. And lastly, we have DC Universe Classics The Question, which stands taller than the Kens here. And I think that works stylistically. I'd probably say this one works with this guy the best, just because there's some more extra sculpted detail that makes these guys look all right together, even though there's no reason I can fathom that somebody would put these together. I just like to bring the Question in for fun. So, and there is Storm Arena Ken there. So that is all that I have comparison-wise for these guys. All right, now that we've gotten our comparisons out of the way, we can finally take a closer look at the actual figures. We're just gonna go in order here. So we're gonna take a look at SOTA Ken first. Starting with the head sculpt, he's got a bit of a smug look on his face. I almost wanna say, yeah, he's got a bit of a smug look on his face. Honestly, this guy might have my least favorite head sculpts. I don't know, I feel like the hair isn't quite right. Almost feels like it's kind of thinning at the top and that he's gonna go bald. It's not my favorite look. And the face itself is kind of growing on me. You could say that was Ken. I don't feel like Ken, or really any Street Fighter character, has just like the definitive, like, this is what they look like. So it's best to try and just match artwork or game sprites. And so this figure, I don't feel like tried to do either of those things. So it kind of comes out a little bit like, I don't know what they're going for here, other than just a Ken that's kind of an amalgamation. But for what's there, it's all sculpted well. I don't think there's any shading in the hair or anything, but it's sculpted well, it's painted well. He's got some good paint on the eyes there. And he actually has some paint on his lips, just a little hint of pink, and that looks good. The eyebrows, it's a bit weird, like you can kind of see how they jut out from his face, but they weren't painted on the sides. So it's kind of an interesting look. I don't feel like it's all that noticeable, but that's something to note that is present. Going down from the face, we're gonna take a look. We'll start with the gi, because this is one thing I like about this guy. This guy has the not torn edges on the gi. So Ken, as he appears in Street Fighter 2, has the clean gi look, and this guy has it as well, where the edges aren't all torn on his shoulders and at the bottom of his pants. After Street Fighter 2, for some reason, for Alpha and for the 3 series of games, he has the torn look that we'll look at on this guy over here. I'm personally prefer that he has the clean gi look. I think it makes more sense for his character, because he's not just roaming the world, walking around in his gi all the time. So I do like that this guy has the clean gi look. Then we can see that it's well detailed. He's got some stitching on the sides of his gi there. That all looks really nice. I like how the gi kind of like bunches up at the bottom. I don't know why I like that look. I just like it. It's something different, because these other two have their gis pulled kind of tightly in, and it allows for more range in the articulation. The muscularity is all sculpted well. One thing that was a bit off-putting about this guy and the Ryu at first, before I bought them, was these chest striations that just are very like deeply sculpted. It looks like scars or something. It doesn't really look too right to me, but it's kind of grown on me, and in the right lighting, it can look really cool. So that's just up to you whether or not you like that. The shoulders are just perfect balls with some little lines sculpted in them. We can see this vein work on the arm, which looks pretty nice. And we can see he's got some full biceps there. I've talked about that with the Guile, having the tapered biceps to allow for more articulation. And this guy's got the more full look, and everything seems to be sculpted. He's got some wrinkles on his elbow there. This guy is a little bit beat up. I did buy him pre-owned, loose, on Mercari, but he came with a good deal for him to have all of his accessories, well, most of his accessories. On his hands, here we have his fist hands. The SOTA fists make a weird shape, like they don't make a perfect fist. Like instead of doing this, they do this almost. That doesn't bother me really. I don't feel like that's what a punching hand really looks like. And as I mentioned, these are reused from Ryu's hand, so you can still see like some of the sculpting for his knuckles in there, despite wearing gloves. So doesn't bother me. It's not really easy to notice. Moving down, I already mentioned he has the clean cut pants, and so I prefer that. He's got a seam going down the side of the legs, and he actually has some shading on his legs. I don't know how easy it is to spot on camera, but it's kind of got a little bit of darker shading on the legs. That looks really nice. I haven't been able to spot it anywhere on the gi, on the top of the gi so much. Maybe on the back, yeah. There's a little bit of shading on the back there too. So on his feet, we can look at his big feet. He has got some good detail sculpting there, some toes, some veins, some wrinkles. So overall, these SOTA figures were very thoughtfully sculpted, thoughtfully made. He's well painted, he's got some shading. I think that it's hard to rival the look of the SOTA figures. Moving on to Jada, there was probably about a little shy of a 20-year gap between the SOTA and the Jada. And now we have Jada Ken here. And I think that he looks overall pretty nice. I've already talked about how I don't love the head. I think it's the hair. I don't like the kind of He-Man cut, but that's just how it is. I mean, that's how he looked in the game, and Jada's just trying to capture that, so I don't really have a problem with that. We can see he's got his big bushy eyebrows and his grin there. It's really a cartoony face, but I think it captures the artwork fairly well. Looking at the gi, I mentioned it, the clean sleeves here. This gi is digitally sculpted, where SOTA was hand sculpted, so SOTA's gi was smooth. Jada's gi is going to have some nice texturing to it on it that gives it kind of a more realistic look, kind of brings him to life. There's a bit of a difference in the texture between the shirt and the pants. Part of that may just be the different kinds of plastic that they used. So that's something to note. Going down, we can see he has some shading in his muscles in the chest there. It may be hard to see. It's not dark shade or like black shading, but just kind of orange. And he's kind of got a tanner look to him in general compared to the other two. So looking at the muscularity of this guy, one thing I didn't really like about the Jada figures, particularly Ryu and Ken, was kind of just the ill-defined shoulders, just kind of just, and the arms are a bit skinny relative to this kind of boxy torso. So I don't love the look of the muscles on this guy, and I don't love the look of the face on this guy. But they were going for something particular here. There is some wrinkling on the gi to show how it's kind of being cinched in by the belt, which looks nice, and there is some light, very light shading, darker shading on the back of the gi. That's nice as well. Be careful with the belt. I don't know if it's the case with Ken. With Ryu, his belt, the paint would chip off really, really easily. You can see kind of like the purple where I colored it in to try and make it less obvious. But Ryu's belt peels paint if you touch it too much. I don't know if that's the case with Ken's belt. I just opened this guy for the first time, so I'm gonna try to be as careful with the belt as I can. Going down, we got some shading on the legs and clean and cut pants. I mentioned the gloves already. On the other hands, they are well textured. And the feet are not as well detailed as the SOTA feet, but that's all right for what they're going for. So overall, I think this Ken was well executed. He just isn't exactly my favorite look, which is a subjective thing. Lastly, we're taking a look at the Storm Arena kin, and recently, I mean, Storm Arena has kind of taken over the collecting scene. Just the quality of the sculpts, the paint, the shading, the articulation, the accessories. I mean, this guy, he is my favorite looking kin, and I'll just go out ahead and say that. Looking at the head, it is got kind of the more anime aesthetic to it, which I think looks nice. Everything is painted cleanly. No shading in the hair, as I mentioned earlier. That kin does have some orange shading in the hair. But the eyes are painted cleanly. We got some black line work, and the eyebrows look nice. Moving down to the body, I mentioned how this other kin, the Jada kin, kind of had a more boxy frame. This guy tapers in a little bit. He's got less like body under the gi, like a really narrow waist that allows for this to taper off more and kind of give him a more fit, athletic look, which is nice. There is some light shading. I would say it's more noticeable on this guy, on the gi. The wrinkle work is nice. And again, we have that texture that I mentioned on the Jada. I haven't had any problems with paint peeling on this guy's belt, which is nice, I guess. Maybe that was a problem on just the Ryu from Jada. I don't know. But Storm have not had that experience. I don't think anybody has, which is nice. You can see we've got the textured pants down here. Some more light shading in the wrinkles. And then feet, again, not as well detailed as the SOTA feet. Looking at the muscularity of him, he's kind of got more squared off, much more defined muscles in the chest. It almost doesn't look right, but I do like the definition there. I think it works. It looks good. And the arms, the shoulders definitely have a lot more shape to them. The other shoulders on this guy weren't very prominent. They weren't really well defined or shaped. This guy's got some nice shaping to his shoulders. Got 3 heads of the deltoid there. That gives it some more shape and boldness. And then the arms, there is some shading in the arms. That looks pretty good. Instead of the brown gloves on the other guys, we have Ken's yellow gloves. That's how he had them in Alpha. A little bit less textured, but that's fine. And that is all I have to say about these guys on their own. If I had to choose aesthetically, I already said I would probably take Storm Arena over the other two. But again, it's subjective, and it's whatever kin you're looking for. If you need a Street Fighter 2 kin, you can get this guy. If you need an Alpha kin, you can get this guy. If you don't care, or if this guy's too hard to get, we'll get into that later, you could probably get this guy and put his other head on him. So that's why this guy is nice to have, because he can kind of be your anything kin. So now that we've taken a look at the aesthetics of these guys, we'll just go ahead and see how they pose. SOTA Toys was doing double ball pegs all the way back in the early and mid 2000s. The range isn't there though necessarily. He can, not really look down too much. He can look up a little bit. His hair kind of gets in the way. He's got a fair amount of tilt, so that's nice. And the hair is a bit soft, so it will get out of the way a little bit. So he's got the double wall peg. The range isn't completely there. Next, we have ball hinge shoulders that go way up. That is nice. We get our rotation. We have our bicep swivel. Single jointed elbow that gets right at about 90 and allows for a nice big bicep here. We have a wrist swivel here at the top, and then a hinge at the wrist. And I looked at Guile already. It's kind of obvious how the wrist swivel and the hinge are separate from each other, where this guy, he has the gloves, so they're not very noticeable. Under the gi here, we have just an ab crunch, but the gi allows for some room for him to be able to crunch. So let's see what we can do here. Mine Mine is not wanting to get his crunch. That's okay. We have a substitute here. Same mold, so in principle it should work the same. He does not crunch very far forward. So that's not great. And then going back, that's how far he can go back. So he can probably look up to somebody like Bison or Sagat well enough. So celebrity appearance there. Moving down to the hips, we have these ball hips, and they're not the best looking, but the way the gi hangs, it does kind of cover up the look of them. So going out to the side, my Ken is broken. I knew that buying him. That's how I got him for such a good deal. But going out to the side, almost the splits, it'll do just fine. Going forward, he can not really hit 90, but he can step out a bit, if you know what I mean. Going back, not really anything. We have a thigh swivel here. Double jointed knees, that should give you plenty of range. And they look decent enough. Down at the leg here, we do not have a shin swivel at the cuff of the foot. Here we have hinged ankles. Toe points that far forward, goes that far up, and then we have the swivel at the foot here instead of an ankle pivot, and that's how it looks. Not the best looking thing, but it's not super noticeable. And then lastly, we have our toe hinge here. And that's all the range that that's gonna get. So articulation, it was good for its time. It's serviceable today, but obviously it's not what we're used to anymore. Taking a look at Jada Ken, this is the only Ken that I have not had out of the box and messed around with before this video. I bought these two specifically for this video, and I already had this guy. So he's been messed around with. So we're gonna see how this guy poses right out of the box. I have not moved him at all. So starting with the head, he gets a lot of range looking down. Looking up, yes, that is great. That is nice. It's actually kind of coming off the ball a little bit when I do that, but you can't tell really just looking straight at it. Tilt, his hair is kind of going to get in the way, but it's a little bit soft, so it'll kind of tilt, but don't expect anything crazy. We have that neck articulation at the base of the neck, which is helping allow for that range. Going down, we have these shoulders here that go right out to 90. We have our rotation, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows that work well enough and look pretty decent. Again, as I mentioned, the bicep kind of tapers off versus here where it kind of reaches all the way down to the elbow. This tapers off to allow for that extra range. Looking at the butterfly joint that is under the gi, well enough hidden. We can bring the arms this far forward and that far back. Can we get some crossover? A little bit. You can probably make a Hadouken pose work from certain angles. Now we have a wrist hinge and swivel. Goes that far out, that far forward. Be careful with this. It kind of can pop in and out. Just because it's popped out like that does not mean it's just going to pop out like I'm pulling on it fairly well and it's not coming out. So it's still secure like this, but know that it does do that, and I think it does that to allow for extra range. In the vein of something like a drop-down hip, it's like a drop-down wrist, which I actually haven't seen on any other figure lines. Just this guy, or just this guy and Ryu and Jada figures. Underneath the gi, we have ball pegs in up here and down here. We'll see how much range that allows for. He crunches fairly well. It'll do. And he can look up a little bit there. Going back is a lot better. We can get our flight pose here. So I love the material that is used on these gis. It just allows for so much movement. No rotation at the belt at all. Oh gosh, it kind of looks like the paint is starting to peel on his belt already. We have our ball hips here that allows for perfect splits. So that is nice, easy to use. Everything is moving very smoothly right out of the package. So that is nice. Leg gets 90 degrees, then you can kind of start rotating it up and maybe rotate this down. We have our thighs rotation here. We can get him in some crouching poses. Knees are what I have a lot of trouble with the Jada figures right out of the package, but this is moving just like a dream. That's nice. Usually on, like, when I first got Ryu on Akuma, Guile, like the knees, I still like have to fight with them a little bit. So it's nice that this guy is just already moving. Part of it may just be the heat. It's like 80 something degrees and I'm filming outside in my shed. Down here we have some rotation at the feet, or below the cuff of the pant leg. So that is nice. And then toes point that far down, that far up. We have our ankle pivot here. And it looks good. You can kind of fudge it around with the swivel there to combine it to get everything straightened up nicely. And then no toe hinge. This is the only Ken that does not have a toe hinge. So be mindful of that if you care. So this guy actually poses a lot better than I was expecting. But I mean, I guess I knew that the Jada figures posed well, and I have the Ryu already. So I don't know what I'm getting at here. Lastly, we have Storm Arena. We can see he doesn't have as much hair coming down the side, so he can get some more tilt there. But he has more hair in the back, so, oh no. So he can, with the neck, he can still look up pretty well. I'm surprised. Okay. Looking down. You can look down fairly far. And then the tilt, all of that works. So this is nice. It works. Going down to the hair, I don't think this rotates or anything. Be careful with the hair because it kind of is separate pieces. I don't know about all of that. So just be careful. Here we have some ball shoulders. It goes this far, and the joint, the ball is on the inside, so it does allow for some more range up and down as well that this guy, the Jada, does not have. So you can raise them up extra high there, bring them down like that, and that all works. Rotation. Bicep swivel is there. Double jointed elbows. It's not the best looking thing in the world. It's got like these lips to them that don't look too great. We have ball wrists, ball hinge wrists, so they can go all the directions that you'll need them to go, which is nice. He can bend his wrist that far forward, that far back, and then I'm pretty sure if need be, you can get some side action there too. So, love to see it. Looking at the butterfly joint, you can kind of see how far out it comes there. It can come that far forward, that far back. And he's got the soft chest that the Storm figures are known for. Looking at some crossing here. We'll see how far we can cross it over. About that far, which honestly is not much better than the Jada. You can still get your poses probably with your angles, but that's not really as much better as I was expecting. Same thing. Actually, it's not the same thing. So we have our upper joint, our ball pegs, then our lower joint, we have the combination of a ball peg going up into a crunch. So bringing this guy forward, he has the best crunch. And he has Should I just pop him out? Should I pop him out? Hold on. Okay, I have broken this Ken in half. So we can see under the gi, he's got like a crunch. So he's got the ball socket here that this goes, so you get that range there already. And then we have a crunch here that moves around in there. So that is why he is able to get a lot of extra crunching range, I would theorize. So he gets all of that range. Again, let's just go ahead. Should I do a picture? Or should I just go ahead and get him out? This is what we're working with here. That is pretty crazy difference. So I don't think I was necessarily for the crunch, but the crunch is working really well, actually. He can go that far back. Okay, this is all kind of impressing me. I haven't really looked at it formally, just kind of posed the guy around. We have our ball hips, and they're on drop downs like that. Without trying to use the drop down, we'll go ahead and see. Perfect split. And then leg already hits 90, and then once we get the drop down, it'll kind of go a bit farther, and then we can twist it off. And yeah, so drop down is there. Not my favorite. One thing about this guy that I will say, like literally within like a couple days of having him and messing with him, my leg joint on this side gets a little bit stuck. I don't know what it, like you can hear it clicking. It's like it's ratcheted where this one's not. It moves around so smoothly. This one does not. I don't know if it's like it needed some more lubrication or something, but this leg does get stuck and I have to force it. If you can just see me doing it right now. I haven't heard anybody mention that in their reviews of these guys. This is, as far as I know, just a problem with mine. I almost want to say that my Dan is doing it, starting to do it too, though. I don't know, though. I could be wrong. I'll have to mess with him a little bit more. Looking down, we have the thigh swivel. The joint allows for, well, I guess it's not the joint, it's the sculpt. The leg is flush to the hip here. They're starting to step away from that. I've been vocal about that in my videos, like with Charlie here, how the leg is not flush to the hip. You can see on the inside there, versus Ken, where it's just a nice smooth transition. I'm looking at the prototypes for some more Storm Arena figures like Akuma and Chun-Li, and they're not making this flush anymore, and it's looking worse, and I'm trying to figure out why they're doing it. Next, we have some double jointed knees, and that gets literally all of the range, like all of it. Breaking this guy back out, yeah. You can see the difference. His leg just completely folds. So the joints, the knees are a bit of a different red than the rest of the pants, but that's okay. Down here, we've got swivel in the cuff here, and then ball hinge ankles. So these point all the way down, all the way, well, not all the way up. And then they get all of that range there. Again, not the best looking. It kind of, again, has that like lip to it, but that's okay. And then we have our toe hinge. So, and that gets a lot of range there. So that is how Storm Arena Ken poses. I have to say, I was expecting the Jada figure. Oh wait, and this twists. So I think I already knew going in that the Storm Arena was going to pose better. I thought that Jada would put up more of a fight. The Jada articulation is still great, but after posing these two, one after the other, yeah, Storm Arena Ken is by far the best poser. And he has the most accessories, and he has the best look to him overall. So, yeah, I would say if there was a winner out of these three here, it's gonna be the Storm Arena Ken. There is some subjectiveness to it as far as like the look goes, but I mean, this guy has more sculpt, he's got more paint, and he poses the best and has the most accessories, the most hands. He comes with the flight stand. So yeah, I guess the last thing I want to talk about is accessibility, because then that's where this guy shoots way down. So I bought this Jada Toys Ken at GameStop for $30, and you can find them at GameStops, Walmarts. I've seen Jada, like I've seen one Chun-Li at Target before. So these guys are around. You can find them. They're on Amazon. If you want this Ken, it's a Big Bad Toy Store everywhere. You can find this guy anywhere for $30. And at first, when he first came out, he was like 23, 24. This guy, he's 20 years old. You're going to have to go to the secondhand market, eBay, Mercari, maybe, I guess thrift stores. I don't know, comic book stores, but I would just check online to find this guy. I got this guy before like tax and fees. He was like 19 bucks. He had the broken leg, but he came with most of his accessories. So you can find this guy with none of his accessories out of the box in the $20 to $30 price range. With his accessories, he can get to the 30, the 40. If you want him in his box, he can be as low as 50, between 50 to 100. But like, you can look this guy up online and you'll find him. You'll find him for 50 or so bucks. This guy, if you want this guy, you're gonna have to go on eBay, or you're gonna have to go on AliExpress, and you're gonna have to fork over $100+ to get this guy, which is just unfortunate reality. Storm Arena, Storm Collectibles, they don't make their they don't do many reissues, so these figures, the availability is quite limited. Big Bad Toy Store, they did do some reissues, and the pre-orders for these went up on Big Bad Toy Store a couple months ago, and they were sold out in like a day, I think. So people want this guy, and the guys that have him know it. So if I had to just order these guys in ease of access to acquire, this is what I would put. So just be aware of all of that. I think each of these figures is worth owning for one reason or the other. There are some things that some do objectively better than others. There are some versions of Ken that some capture better than others. I think they all have their charms. So I hope that this video was helpful in some kind of way. I hope that I brought maybe some insight that nobody else has brought. I don't think that there's any videos out there comparing these three guys. So I wanted to do something a little bit more different. I do plan to do this with more characters. I have Sagat in the works. I have 2 Sagats waiting to be opened and 1 on pre-order. And then I won't give too much more away. So I enjoy doing these videos. This is something that I would want to see if I was getting into collecting Street Fighter, is like, what's the one to get? They're all ones to get just for their own reasons. So I appreciate you watching. Leave any feedback in the comments that may help me to serve you, the viewer, better, and make this a better experience for everybody. So thank you for watching, and I hope that you have a good rest of your day.